Hey, it's the Ray Rican, and well, the Ministry of Truth or the Disinformation Governance Board has been paused over outcry, or what they say is over disinformation on the board. Okay, but the lady who they had in charge of it, she's a joke. I was listening to what how she was complaining, talking about that she's getting death threats, and I'm like, one, a lot of famous people get death threats. That's nothing new, but she uses that as a defense to herself when this whole idea, she's someone who herself spread disinformation. She said Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation when it was true. It was facts. And but meanwhile, she believed the Russian collusion hoax, which was misinformation brought to the American public by the Hillary campaign. It was just opposition research. It was stuff that was made up. They knew it was made up, but they still used it so they could um, disrupt the Trump administration for 3 years. But meanwhile, so it was Russia, Russia, Russia for almost his entire presidency, and people still believe it now. But meanwhile, everything that's in the Hunter Biden laptop, it's none of it has been disputed, and all the stuff in it implicates Biden and his family. There's a lot of corruption uh, with Hunter's business dealings, whether it be in Ukraine, whether it be in China, and even in Russia. But this lady here, she wants to be a victim, and that's how they get around. Um, that's how they get around facts. Here is her own words. Here's her in a quick 1 minute clip. If it'll play, this always happens to me. I'm always trying to. Let's see. If I go straight to Twitter, let's see if that'll help. I would just want you to hear her own words where she's, you know, using victimhood as a deflection from basically, uh, using as a deflection to protect her, to insulate her from what's going on, why people didn't actually like this whole thing.
Of this sort of like massive frenzy like over the last few weeks?
Well, it was really overwhelming, Chris. I mean, frankly, I have prided myself over my career of being a really nuanced, reasonable person. Again, as I said, I've briefed and advised both Republicans and Democrats. I admire some of the steps that the Trump administration even took to combat disinformation, including Senator Rob Portman and his bills against deepfakes and, funding the Global Engagement Center at the State Department. So to say that I'm just a partisan actor was wildly out of context. And then beyond that, it wasn't just
Bullshit.
these mischaracterizations of my work, but it was death threats against my family. Over the last 3 weeks, I have maybe had 1 or 2 days I didn't report a violent threat.
So notice here she goes, "Oh, mischaracterization of my work." How? What did she do? She just went from there to, "Oh, I'm a victim. I'm a victim."
Thing like, we're coming for you and your family. You and your family should be sent to Russia to be killed. Encouragement of me to commit suicide. All of those have been forwarded to the Department of Homeland Security's security services, and that's not something that is American. That is not how we should be acting when we have disagreements about policy in this country. I think we need to learn how to be adults in the room. And I don't have time for that childishness. I'm not going to let it silence me. I'm going to go forward and continue building awareness about this threat in the future.
So she didn't address how her stuff was mischaracterized. She just flew into victimhood to deflect from her own disinformation because she wasn't mischaracterized. She sang a whole jingle about the Russian collusion hoax. Okay, but this is what's going on. But we have to be careful. Here's why I say we got to be careful, because they say it was paused. What's probably going to really happen is they're not going to call it. They're going to say they're going to get rid of they're not going to reinstate it. What they're going to do is they're going to put it into a department and not call it the Disinformation Governance Board. They're still going to be doing everything that they wanted to do, except that it's going to have cover of, it's in a different department. It's not, it's not going to be Disinformation Governance Board, but they're still going to push their propaganda. And, she did that. Like I said, you could look it up. I didn't want to go through showing all the clips of her and her disinformation. But I just want, because it's not about her, it's about the dangers of having a ministry of truth. And talked about in the video why I called it Ministry of Truth, why everybody's calling it Ministry of Truth. If you've ever read 1984, it's like when the government's telling you what's true and you cannot combat it, because for a year and a half, they said the Hunter Biden laptop was a fake, was Russian disinformation. And it turns out everything there is true. Where's the investigation? Trump made a phone call and got through the phone call, got investigated through a phone call. Okay, here is a laptop with damning information on the Biden family. We call it the Hunter Biden laptop, but it gives away a lot of the inner dealings of the Biden family, talking about how Hunter paid Joe's bills, and Joe paid some of Hunter's bills. Their money is all their monies, okay? Because the fact that they're paying for each other and all that stuff. But where's the investigation? Where is the Senate? Where is the House screaming to investigate this? Okay. Trump can make a phone call wanting to investigate if there's any corruption between Ukraine and Biden, and the laptop shows there's corruption. Where's the investigation? I'm hoping that if the Republicans win, they will investigate this, because if true, he needs to be impeached. And I don't care if we get President Kamala Harris. We get President Kamala Harris because Biden gets impeached. It's a good thing for this country. It's not a bad thing, because we've got to root out the corruption regardless of the party. But, the deep state, whatever you want to call it, the administrative state, they get away with this stuff. Politicians, they get away with this stuff. They get to do insider trading. Before it was released that the U.S. was gonna that the Biden administration was talking about, all the U.S. fleets would be electric. Well, guess what? Nancy Pelosi did. She bought Tesla shares. Why? Because once they announced that, who's the biggest producer of electric vehicles? Tesla. Who's going to get a big contract? Tesla. But this sanctioned corruption is allowed to fester, where there's rules for thee, but not for me. So they get to enrich themselves by being politicians, while we get the shaft. Am I talking disinformation? No. But this is what they talk about. This is what they go through to say, this is disinformation, what I'm talking about. And where does this ultimately lead? That's why, it's dangerous to form this disinformation board. Hear from this guy's lips for yourself. Come on. Uh, okay, let's just do this. Maybe this will help. Okay. There we go.
It really is kind of horrible to think that journalists with national and international capacity are putting together this type of nonsense. I think the president did a great job. I wish he had done a lot of this a lot sooner, and we need a lot more from the left and the middle. And we got to watch out, because the Republicans have become the purveyors of misinformation. And when our two-party system is broken like that, democracy is seriously in trouble. The president acknowledged that. It's time to actually start doing things and maybe taking some names and putting people in jail.
I mean,
Putting people in jail. Out of his own words, putting people in jail. So let's say you fall for disinformation. Like, millions of people fall for that the Hunter Biden laptop was disinformation. Okay. So now they want to jail people for spreading misinformation, disinformation, when something that a year and a half ago was considered disinformation, and now it's the truth. But meanwhile, people still believe the Russian collusion hoax, which was disinformation, thanks to the Hillary campaign. So, it's dangerous. This type of board, this Ministry of Truth, this Disinformation Governance Board, it is dangerous. And it leads to people like that guy, Carl Cameron, they're on MSNBC, talking about taking names and putting people in jail for being wrong. Let's say, you spreading misinformation, thinking that it's truth. I don't think people should be in jail for that. Even no matter how much I disagree with, the 53 security people who said that was Russian disinformation. Now, granted, I think they should get their security clearances revoked, because you know what? They used their positions of authority without actually examining the actual laptop or the contents in it. They just spouted bullshit and told us it was the truth. Their opinion was passed as the truth, and it was used, and Biden was able to use it as cover, and still does. Even though the laptop, everything in it, its contents are accurate, are true, but he still uses it, this whole the Russia disinformation, as cover. So, anyways, with that being said, my alarm rang there, and I have to head out of here. Comment. Let me know what you guys think. Please like and subscribe to my channel. I'm the Right Rican. I'm here on YouTube or Rumble, wherever you're watching me. I appreciate your views. I appreciate your comments, and interact with me on social media: Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram. Hopefully, truth soon. We'll see. But with that being said,